El Salvador has mined $29 million worth of Bitcoin with a volcano. And this story is so insane. I had to look it up on Reuters and AP News just to make sure that it's real. And it is actually very, very real because the government of El Salvador has heavily invested in Bitcoin, including, I believe they call it, they have a Bitcoin office, which is an official office of government. A lot of AI generated images when you look this up. The real pictures are a lot less flattering. It's a geothermal power plant. I like how some of them try to make it look like really cool, like light green energy, future tech, and then others are like Mount Doom volcano. But the story is still very cool. So the government of El Salvador hooked up a geothermal power plant to one of their volcanoes and managed to harvest 474 bitcoins this year. It was from the Tipaca volcano. And in the last 3 years, which has added about $29 million worth of capital to their Bitcoin fund. And their Bitcoin fund is up to almost $350 million, which is not an insignificant thing. And it's funny to me because it looks like even Mother Earth is getting involved in Bitcoin mining. Normally, I'm really hateful and critical of Bitcoin mining as it is a waste of energy. And it's true in this case, too, that the energy harvested from the volcano would probably be better used giving cheap electricity to the people of El Salvador. But at least they're not burning fossil sauce for it, right? This is actually coming from the Mother Earth. And it is very cool. And if you were going to mine crypto, doing so with green tech or fiery molten lava red tech perhaps seems to be the most ethical way to do it. We're going to round out today with a fun little report from a psychology research paper about the truth effect. You may remember the quote that if you lie loud enough, big enough, often enough, that eventually people will believe it. So researchers wanted to study that and see if repeated information actually tricks us into thinking we knew it all along, and if repeating the information makes it seem more truthful. To skip ahead and summarize, we summarize a summary here. Yes, that's basically how it works. Repeated exposure to a statement can significantly influence our belief in its truthfulness, regardless of accuracy, because the ease with which our brain processes these repeated statements, a concept known as processing fluency, is often mistakenly interpreted by the brain itself as a signal of truth. And the rest of this report kind of details the study and how they came about this conclusion, which isn't the most exciting thing. Basically, they played flashcard games with students and put false and real information on there and repeatedly exposed them to false information until they began to believe that the false flashcards were true. Of course, this didn't work on everybody. It wasn't a 100% thing, but there was a statistically significant bump in people who began to believe the false flashcards as being true because of their repeated exposure to them, which I scroll down to the picture of the brain, says a lot about how our brains work and process information and about how we even assess the truthfulness of information, because it's not fully conscious. A great deal of it is subconscious. And it kind of reminds me of the story. This was pre-2016. This was like 2012, 2014. Facebook, I think, had fact checkers, or they had people whose job it was to go into conspiracy communities and shut them down if they were violating the rules. But they had a problem because too many of the people they hired to do this would eventually quit and join the conspiracy communities themselves. Now, those communities obviously saw this as, we're right, we're even converting the fact checkers. But Facebook and a number of other people recognized that being repeatedly exposed to this information up to 12 hours a day, constantly getting into the weeds of it, having to engage with the community, et cetera, does change people's minds, because repeated information does trick us into thinking we knew it was real all along. As some of you may know, there is going to be a double emergence of cicadas in the southeastern United States in the next couple of months, and it's going to cover the landscape with thousands, millions, billions, maybe even trillions of these little creepy crawlies. What you probably didn't know is that they're nature's strongest urinators. So there's going to be billions of insects flying around. I love this graphic here, peeing all over the air, peeing on you, peeing on everything. And they pee out an STD that can turn other cicadas into zombies, which is absolutely wild to me. And the way this works is that they eat xylem from plants. They have to kind of suck it out, and it requires force and pressure to do that. So inside their enlarged head, there's actually a pump, which means that when they pee, that pump is activated and it sprays out urine at an obscene volume. This other article on USA Today was kind enough to include an animal urination graph, and this is kind of insane. Cicadas are in their own little anomaly zone over here on the left-hand side. They have flows that are 2 to 3 times faster and stronger than humans and elephants, which is just downright wild to me. The problem herein is that I think it's brood 13 and brood 19 are both going to be emerging at the same time, which is a very rare thing. And so there's going to be just an obscene number of these guys. They're already out in a lot of places, just creeping, doing their cicada thing. And they're going to be eating all the plants. They're going to be peeing all over everything. So if you live in a region with a lot of endemic cicadas this year, not always, but this year, it might be smart to bring an umbrella when you come outside so they don't just fly over you and pee on your head. Nature is fighting back. Just a few days ago, a yacht sank off the coast of Gibraltar after a pack of orcas attacked the ship. And what's crazy is this isn't even the first time that's happened. Orcas have been attacking ships in the Strait of Gibraltar and in other places around the world with increasing frequency. According to The Guardian, nearly 700 interactions since the orca attacks on the ships and regions began in May 2020. So in the last 4 years, we've had 700 orca attacks. In this case, they sunk a small vessel, about a 15-meter yacht piloted by 2 people. And if you're going to say, hey, this sounds a lot like the plot of the movie Orca from 1977, the famous Jaws, like shark sea creature exploitation film, you would be correct. And I wanted to make a joke about it and pull up a clip from this movie, but it was actually so bad and so boring I couldn't find anything funny. But I did find the actual video of the orca ramming the ship here. A pack of younger orcas basically just rammed the bottom of the boat until it had holes in it. I'm assuming it come, yeah. This guy, good for you, doing a good job. You're filming horizontal, makes it a little hard for TikTok. There was another clip in here. You can see where they, yeah, they actually punched a hole in, and these guys have to try to get all the water out of their boat. I read an article somewhere else that a mother orca had her baby hit by a boat and then taught the rest of the pack to attack boats as if they're threats or predators. And to be honest, with the way humans behave, that's a very reasonable decision. So instead of giving everybody a warning and saying this is scary and this is bad, I say good for you, orcas. You've taken too many L's. It's time the whales fought back.